Hello, welcome to another week of Kitchen Closed with BrightRock. Welcome to the Nicholl kitchen, which is once again, via the wonders of technology, about to be transformed into a Michelin-starred kitchen or thereabouts. Because once again, I've got an absolutely phenomenal chef who's going to guide me through a simple but really cool dish. And I think today's dish is one that's going to get a lot of people excited because it's one of the coolest things to eat on the planet at the moment. But before we get to the food, let me introduce the chef. And she's somebody I've had a crush on now for 23 years because it was 20 years ago when I first met her. I was working as a sports journalist at Cape Talk down in Cape Town, and this is how this woman introduced herself. She wafted in this dazzling blur of elegance, looked through the glass window and proceeded to flip up her shirt and smile at me. I lost my composure completely. My entire sports report was ruined, and I've been hopelessly in love with Jenny Morris ever since. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, my sweetheart. How are you?
I'm extremely well, and I'm so excited to have you on this series, not just because you're a wonderful chef and you're one of the most gregarious and vivacious people I know, but because you had a really big influence on me learning to cook. Earlier in this series, we had to go off wood, and I did his kitchen cardboard class, but I also spent many wonderful evenings with your classes, the Giggling Gourmet, learning how to cook and getting a feel for the kitchen. So thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure. I love it. You see, this is what I love when someone says to me, I've learned something from you, because we're never too old to learn. I'm still learning, you know.
I think a lot of chefs are doing that at the moment, because throughout this series, everyone I've spoken to, from David Higgs to Ruben Riffle to Pete Gofford, they've all been saying the same thing. During lockdown, they rediscovered some of that passion of just being in their own kitchens.
Absolutely, because that's where it all starts, darling. It's all about passion. And if that passion should die, you might as well go home.
Well, passion has never been a problem for Jenny Morris. It runs richly through everything you do, headlined by the cooking. We're going to get into a fantastic dish in just a second. But before that, in a nutshell, how's Jenny Morris been surviving? You've always got a smile on your face. Are you still reasonably cheerful and upbeat after a couple of very difficult months for the restaurant industry?
Well, let me say, I'm very sad about the restaurant industry, not just for myself and my staff, but for everybody that's involved. I have to tell you, during this lockdown, I haven't had one afternoon nap, so I'm still disciplined. I'm still holding myself together at the seams with some of my key staff. But it's not an easy time for our industry. In fact, the whole tourism industry. So we've got to think on our feet now.
And that ties in rather nicely with what we're doing today, because you've been getting people into their kitchens. You've been the virtual culinary guide, and you've been running cooking lessons online.
I have. My business, I've got two sides. There's the restaurant side and the catering business. And then the other side of my business, which has been going for over 21 years, is the team building side and the cooking school, the Cook's Playground. So I have had to take that online, Dan, because I've got to keep the doors open, shut, or however. But I have a lot of corporates that are doing their team buildings with me. They had stuff booked, which we had to cancel because of the social distancing. But now you can do it in your own kitchen.
So my is ready. The advantage of filming it like this, with just one camera in my kitchen, is that everything over there looks like London in 1942. It's just destruction. But looks good. So we can get going. What are we making today, Jenny Morris?
Well, you know what? Fortunately, we are still able to get beautiful, fresh ingredients. I've been using online people, like my cool guys who does all my veggies, and Rich Meats does all my meat. So I don't really have to leave this house. But I have a problem when it comes to fish, because, you know, you have to rely on what's available in the supermarket. But I'm missing sushi like you don't understand.
But today, not quite sushi. You're giving us a spin. And this is probably the go-to cool factor dish that's popped up right around the world over the last year or so.
Absolutely. Now, you can call it a poke bowl or a pokey bowl, whatever bowl you want to call it. It's going to be a delicious bowl. And we're going to have a bit of Asian persuasion. So I'm going to use like sticky rice. Now, I was looking for sushi rice, couldn't find it. And my supplier was out of stock. So I've used jasmine rice, which is beautiful and sticky in any case. I have got avocados and beautiful radishes. Gorgeous. Have a look at this beautiful, fresh, and it's so refreshing, actually, cucumber. And ginger, lots of ginger during this lockdown because it's a beautiful immune boosting ingredient. You need lots of that. You can add garlic to this dressing. So we're going to sear tuna. We're going to press sesame seeds onto, and we're going to just build this beautiful bowl together. But it's all about the dressing at the end of the day as well, because that dressing, if you've got it in your fridge, you can whack it onto anything.
All right, well, I can't wait for the dressing because I've seen the recipe and it does look sensational. But we kick off with the fish. It's an interesting step for me because I don't normally get further than just searing the tuna and then gobbling it down because I love it so much. But this is a bit more with it. How do I kick this dish off, Jenny Morris?
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is take your tuna and just anoint it with a little bit of sesame oil or sunflower oil or olive oil, whatever oil you have in your cupboard, because I don't want my pan, I don't want it swimming in oil, okay? You can spray your pan or just paint it with just a little bit of oil. And once you have oiled your tuna, I've already done all of my stuff. And I'll give you an example of one, because it's going to look like that. You're going to press it nice and hard into your sesame seeds, which you've already toasted, and it's a mixture of both, okay?
So quick sesame seeds, you asked me to go for 2 tablespoons of white and 3 tablespoons of black. Is that purely aesthetic? Is there an actual taste difference?
Well, the white ones have they've been bleached, and the black ones still have their husks on them. So they also make the dish look beautiful because it just pops. Okay, but if you don't want to have the black ones, then you can just use white ones, but I just think the 2 together look magnificent.
Right, got my tuna, and I'm just pressing it nice.
Yes, press. And don't do the sides, Dan, because you want to see that lovely sort of rare,
Yes, that's something you could have told me 2 minutes ago, Jenny.
That's all right, sweetheart. You can just flick them off. It doesn't matter. It's your dish. Take it and own it. That's what's so good about recipes. Take it and own it, darling. And bring the 2 together. Now, can I tell you something about sesame seeds while we're about it?
Yep.
They're a little bit like a lady. They're temperamental. So when you're shopping for them, don't buy lots of them because they go rancid very quickly. I'm not saying ladies go rancid very quickly, but the seeds do. So keep them in the freezer. I couldn't get a 1 solid piece, which is fine. So I just cut mine into portions. So this has been pre-oiled. Whoops. And I just press down. So, okay.
Perfect.
Are we on the same page? Oh my goodness, fingers.
Right. How hot do I need to have my pan? Is it at full steam?
So this is what we're going to do. You get your pan on, and we're going to do the 3-stage test. Okay? You get it nice and hot, Dan, and hover your hand like this over your pan. I'm watching. Mm-hmm. So not in the pan, go as low as you can, because now you want to feel a little bit uncomfortable. When the heat starts reaching the palm of your hand, you just bring it up another little level. Okay. And if you can start feeling the heat, it should be really nice and hot. And then bring it up a 3rd level. And it's like almost in line with your, well, I don't know, what's this thing called, your heart? And when it starts feeling really hot and warm, you're going to stick your tuna into the pan. Okay.
All right. Yep, it's getting there. I think another 30 seconds or so.
There. Good. And the thing about this is, Dan, don't be too keen to turn it over too quickly. I would like to do it on one side. And another reason I said try and keep the side clear, you can actually watch the tuna cooking. So how do you like yours? I like mine medium rare. Or if it's fresh and flapping, I'll just sort of bite it slow.
I've just gone with a simple set of tongs to make my life easier.
Me too. Now, Dan, you could actually prep this all up to the point of eating it or guests arriving or whatever, and keep it in the fridge because it will just keep it nice and together, your seeds. The beauty of this is you can cook it from cold, unlike meat, you need to bring to room temperature because normally sushi we eat raw anyway, so it will stop it overcooking. Right, I've got mine in and I can hear it starting to sizzle.
Okay. So we're using tuna here. Could I use some salmon maybe or some other fish?
You can use any oily fish, as long as especially if it's a sushi, salmon definitely. But if you're going to use fresh fish, you can use fresh like salmon trout as well, but make sure to use it when it's fishing. But I wouldn't use yellow pearl for this one.
And what should we be looking for? Jenny, sustainability is a big question for a lot of people. Is tuna sustainable, salmon sustainable? What should we be looking for when we're buying our fish here?
It certainly shouldn't be on the orange list because that's pushing the envelope a bit. I know we get a little bit sensitive, but I would go for anything that's on the green list and stay away from red. Go to Sassy. Go to the Sassy website and it will tell you everything. Prawn, you can do this with prawn if you want. You can use prawn meat. You can use the cooked, obviously. Crab, oh my goodness, it would be delicious. I can make a coke bowl with as well.
I'm obviously up in Johannesburg, so I'll be off down the Yukskay River tomorrow morning to do some fishing and get a little creative. Well, how did the poke bowl come about? What culture is this from? How did we stumble upon these?
You know what? I think it was the Hawaiians that put this bowl together. And as you know, we're so global and we're just like a click away from knowing what's going on in the rest of the world. And I think a lot of countries have embraced it and put their own cultural twist.
We're putting our South African twist on it. And mine, I'm happily done. I can see mine. They're not the biggest pieces of tuna. So mine are nicely sticky inside. My sesame seeds are all toasted. But my tuna is off. I'm happy with it. I can see from the side. Seared to a degree I'm very happy with. Those sesame seeds are looking great. I've got it off. I know when it comes to meat, we often have to rest meat once it's been done. Does that apply to fish as well?
It applies to a sausage even. Anything that has heat needs to rest. So fish particularly, things like tuna, it's like a steak, So definitely rest it before you cut it because you want all of this heat that surrounds it to dissipate and get sucked down to the center again with all the lovely juices as well.
So that's resting. What can I move on to in the meantime?
Well, while this is resting, why don't we put our bowl together? Because this is obviously going to just wrap itself around the ingredients. How about your balls? Have you done your balls, your rice balls?
I have my sushi. I'm going to make them up. Actually, I nipped into my local Pick and Pay and found some sushi rice. So I was very happy to discover that. 2, 1. Jenny, how many sushi balls, rice balls do I need to make here?
It's up to you. How many people are you feeding? You see, this is another thing. Normally when I make the big one like this, I make them sort of like a little Greek meatball, like a kefte. So if you have a look here, can you see these, Dan?
I can indeed. Yours looks slightly smoother and more professional than mine.
Listen, darling, really, this is homemade with love. So don't worry about how the balls look, as long as they taste good. For me, if you're doing individual ones, you can go smaller than that because it must just be able to be picked up with a chopstick, okay? But when we do this at home, we just fight over them. So that's that. Are you ready to assemble, sweetheart?
I am indeed. I've got 8 of these balls to go with my tuna.
I'm going to put on the base this beautiful fresh.
Okay, I've got my tuna.
Then I think I'll just take the balls and just pop them around the side.
I've still got some sesame seeds left. Do I need to do anything with those?
You can just sprinkle them over your rice balls.
All right. Okay. So there's
and now you can choose what to do with the avocado. You can cut it into blocks or you can fan it. If I'm doing it individually, I like to fan it, but it's quite nice to have little blocks if you are doing a nice big bowl. And they don't have to be Japanesey exactly into a perfect little block or perfect little square. You just slice it up. But make sure the avo is nice and firm like that. And sometimes it comes at a premium, so you just buy it from WW, because you know that they work. Okay, so I'm just going to just make a nice little pile of avo in the corner. How are you doing there, my Dan?
I'm good. Some avocado. Right, so this is me so far. I've got my rice down. And I'm going to add. And you're just doing yours a little pile in the corner?
I'm just going to do a little pile in the corner, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, you can get as creative as you want. You can paper thin it with precision and almost see through. But you know what? I'm a hunky chunky girl. I want to bite into the avo. So I'm just cutting it straight into the bowl. So
I'm making mine out as though I'm going to be sharing it with several people, but really, once it's done, I'm just going to demolish it myself and eat the whole thing.
I can tell you, I've got people on standby as well, trust me. This is not going to go very far. Now, I think that my tuna is well rested. So before I cut, I'm going to quickly just whiz together my dressing, okay, so I can go straight onto it. You could assemble your bowl to this point and keep it in the fridge and then dress it just before it comes to the table. So I'm going to put lovely fresh ginger, just chop it up into some blocks, or if you wanted to, you could even cut them into the finest matchsticks and add it to that. This dressing, she's got to have it. I want a bit of sweetness, so I'm using a bit of sweet chili sauce. I want the nuttiness of sesame oil. Once again, a derivative of the seed, a little bit temperamental like the lady. So buy a small bottle at a time, not big ones, unless you're Jenny Morris, because she'll use the whole thing. It does go rancid very quickly. Now the wasabi, you can make it as hot or as mild as you want. We love wasabi in this house, so I put in about a tablespoon. I'm not going to add chili to this. I'm going to add it to my bowl so people have the option of putting the chili up, because there are two different burns that happen with the chili and the wasabi. Because chili burns 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. Wasabi will burn you once and it goes up. Okay, so we're not going to do that. A little bit of honey, because honey's going to round it off beautifully. So some lovely runny honey into that. And then you can always adjust it once you finish mixing. I'm going to whack this whole bottle of soy sauce in here, because this dressing will be finished by tonight, trust me. And then some lovely Japanese mayonnaise. If you haven't got Japanese mayo, you can use any good quality mayo, because that's just going to round it off. Because the minute I see that mayonnaise, I think of a salmon roast. Okay, I've got that all together. I'm going to whiz it. It's going to make a bit of a noise, but it happens so quickly. Excuse me for a second. Done and dusted. You're eating already.
So you gave me the ingredients, and I made this in advance just to speed things up. And at your advice, I added some extra ginger. And this is, whoa. It's glorious. It's glorious. And what I do love about this, and you mentioned it when we were chatting yesterday, is that, yes, I'm going to use this on my poke bowl, but with whatever's left over, some broccoli, some green beans, even some...
Yes. It's delicious. If you grill a little bit of cauliflower, in fact, you just sear it in the pan, drizzle it with this, with some spring onion and lots of sesame seeds. Make a big steak. Delicious.
Glorious. Okay, so pouring some of this on top.
I'm now going to top my little poke bowl with some seared tuna. You know, I'm not the best food stylist. I like my food to look hunky and chunky. This is beautiful. Have you started to slice yours, Dan?
I have indeed, and if I can just, this is one of my coolest kitchen items. I went shopping in Tokyo when I was at the Rugby World Cup last year. There's a wonderful street called Kitchen Street full of incredible shops, and this is where I bought myself a couple of beautiful Japanese knives, one of which I'm using today.
Absolutely. What a pleasure. A man and his knife may not be separated. And if any ladies are watching and their husbands don't cook, buy them a knife for their birthday. I mean, a good one. You'll never use it, but you can take it over. Okay. So now, I don't know what I want to do here. I might fan it out. I think I'm going to fan it out. There we go. A little bit of chili over the top of my tennis racket. Okay, I've just popped some chili over the top, Dan. I think we have more than enough sesame seeds, but I do like always to add a few to my plate once I have actually cooked it. And now I'm going to just put a bit of dressing into here. Are you ready to dress?
I am indeed. I'm trying very hard all of my tuna while I'm layering it because it looks so good. All right.
I just serve the dressing at the table and dress it as we go. So I'm not going to mess this up because I want to take a photograph. I'm going to get just a little flash. Have a look.
Oh, yours looks terrific.
Doesn't it look pretty?
It looks lovely, much like a chef.
Oh, I'm just a mama chef, that's all.
Now I've got a little bit of coriander. Shall I sprinkle that on top at the end?
Yes, absolutely. And it's edible. You know, this is part of the dish. You want those flavors to be part of your dish. And I'm going to add a little bit more radish because I'm crazy for radish. And try and cut it thin so you can almost see through it. I can almost see through it.
I'm getting there. I got shouted at for my radish work by Reuben Rivell a couple of weeks ago.
Did he say it was too thick?
He did indeed. He's a horrible man, Reuben Rivell. I much prefer you as a chef.
My friend.
So it's a very simple dish, this. It's a lot of different flavors, but it's very easy to bring them all together. And if you do get them all together and you get them all right, which is not hard to do, as you've shown us, the concert that comes out, just this explosion of Asian infusion is magnificent.
I love it. And it's healthy. Every single thing in here has some kind of health aspect. If you look at the radish, it's a wonderful expectorant. So come winter, eat lots of radishes. Avocado, as you know, is like a whole meal. And this lovely sticky rice is just too divine for words. So you could take the tuna out of the equation and you could add lots of that, maybe some tofu, seared tofu with the sesame seed, and then you'll have a vegetarian option as well.
Now, you've taught me to make this in about 15 minutes, which has been brilliant. Other dishes I could be learning from you. If people think, right, Jenny Morris is my salvation. She's going to teach me how to run a kitchen. How do people do your classes? How do they get online? How do they come and learn from you?
Well, you know what? They could follow me online, Jenny Morris Chef. If all else fails, it's always easier just to DM me and we will crack the person back. But otherwise, they could send an email to hello@jennymorrisgroup.com and we'll give you all the information you need.
Perfect. There's some other information I'd like to get from you before we let you depart and I go and eat that entire poke bowl all on my own with anybody. And that information refers to philanthropy. The chefs of South Africa have been extraordinary during lockdown, getting together, helping people, cooking meals, doing extraordinary things together. And it's been a really uplifting part of this last stretch. What charities are you looking at, supporting, helping out? Which ones should we go and try and lend our support to if we can?
Do you know what? What is the most needed thing during this lockdown? What has poverty caused? It's caused hunger. So you've got to go to Food Forward South Africa. If you have got money and you've got a little bit of disposable income, maybe it's the cost of a cup of coffee or a beer, you go to foodforward.SA.org. You could, just for 50 Rand a month, you could actually feed a child for a whole month. Okay, they are doing phenomenal work, Dan. You cannot believe it, because they are the organization that feeds all the food to all these other organizations that are running these food kitchens and these soup kitchens and making sure people get food on their table. They are doing phenomenal work. And I just want to say thank you to all the retailers and the farmers that are actually adding to that wonderful pantry of food that is being shared with the needy of South Africa. So foodforward.southafrica.org. Go and have a look, and just there's a button there that says donate. Put your finger on the button and donate, please.
It is very, very good advice, Anita. I'm going to do that straight away. The big downside of the lockdown has been people suffering, and the suffering has been immense. But the silver lining to that has been seeing people like yourself, your fellow chefs, and just ordinary South Africans right around the country coming together, doing their best to help those in need. So we thank you for that, Jenny. I also thank you for showing me how to make the poke bowl. I'm going to whip one of these up for Mrs. Nicholl later this week, and she should be very impressed, I have no doubt. But for now, I'm going to eat an entire one myself and celebrate adding a culinary resume.
There you go, sweetheart. It's been lovely spending time with you again, and enjoy. And if people don't want fish or have an allergy, also you can do it with chicken, but make sure it's cooked.
Or possibly even some seared Wagyu if you have some squirreled away. But that's the great thing about cooking, especially when you've got some knowledge passed on by someone like Jenny Morris. You're now a little more confident, you're happy to experiment, and the results, well, they don't always work, but it's usually a great fun trying to put them together. Today's been enormous fun. It's been lovely catching up with a really good friend of mine, Jenny Morris. I'll be back again next week with another episode of Kitchen Closed, another great chef, and another recipe for you to try out at home. I'm Dan Nicholl. Happy cooking.